Leo was a lion. He lived in Africa on the big, sunny savannah. Leo was not just any lion. Oh no, he had the loudest roar in all the land. It was a magnificent roar, big and strong. He was very, very proud of his roar. It made him feel like the king of everything. He would puff out his chest when he thought of it. Yes, Leo loved his roar more than anything. Everyone knew Leo, the lion with the mighty sound. Every morning when the sun peeked over the hills, Leo would roar. Roar! It went, like thunder rolling. The little meerkats would pop up from their burrows. The sleepy zebras would open their eyes. The tall giraffes would stop munching leaves. It was Leo's way of saying, "Good morning, Africa." He roared at lunchtime too, a happy, rumbly roar. And as the sun dipped low, painting the sky orange, Leo would give one last splendid roar for the day. He loved the sound, and he thought everyone else did too. The other animals had different feelings about Leo's roar. Some of the smaller creatures, like the field mice, would scurry and hide, just a little bit frightened. The bigger animals, like the wildebeest, mostly admired it. "My, what a powerful roar Leo has," they would say. The baboons would sometimes try to copy it, but their hoots and hollers were nothing like Leo's grand sound. No one could roar like Leo, not even close. It was his special talent, his mark on the savannah. He was famous for it far and wide. Leo's whole heart was filled with his roar. It was like a happy song, always ready to burst out. And when he roared, he felt strong and important. He felt like the sun itself, warming the whole savannah. He would stroll about, his golden mane shining, thinking about his next wonderful, earth-shaking roar. A lion's roar is his voice, he thought, and his voice was the best. Oh yes, it certainly was. Life was very good for Leo, the loud and proud lion. He couldn't imagine a world without his amazing roar. One bright morning, the sun climbed into the sky as usual. Leo the lion woke up from his long, comfortable sleep. He stretched his big, tawny body from his nose to his tail. First one paw, then the other, a big yawn. He felt very good, ready for his morning announcement. He took a deep, deep breath, filling his mighty lungs. He opened his mouth wide, ready to let out his grand roar, the kind of roar that made the acacia leaves tremble. He was all set for his usual magnificent sound. Today felt like a particularly good day for roaring, but what came out was not a roar, not at all. It was a tiny little squeak. Eep! It went, like a very small mouse, or perhaps a shy kitten. Leo's eyes popped wide open in surprise. He blinked. Had he heard that right? A squeak? He shook his head, his mane wobbling. This could not be. He was Leo, the loudest lion. He tried again, puffing his chest even bigger. He gathered all his strength for a proper, mighty sound. Surely this time his roar would come back. Me, pip squeak, that was all. A funny little noise, like a bird with a hiccup. Leo felt his ears go red. He was quite shocked. Where was his thunder? Where was his boom? He tried a third time and a fourth. Squeak, squeak, a tiny whistle, a little puff of air. The great booming, wonderful roar was completely gone, vanished as if it had packed its bags and tiptoed away. Leo poked his throat gently with a paw. Was it sore? It felt perfectly fine. But the roar was not there. The other animals began to notice something was amiss. The meerkats popped up, expecting the usual wake-up call. They tilted their heads, confused by the silence, then the squeaks. A family of warthogs trotting by stopped and stared. Then a young monkey, bolder than the rest, started to giggle. Soon other monkeys joined in, pointing and chattering. Leo lost his roar, they whispered, not so quietly. Leo felt his proud heart sink down to his paws. He felt very, very small and not at all like a king. This was a terrible, dreadful, no good sort of day. Leo was determined. He would get his roar back. He simply had to. What was a lion without his roar? His first idea was to roar at something very big. He found a huge grey rock standing sturdy and tall. If I roar at this big rock, he thought, my big roar will return. He took a deep breath, as deep as he could. He opened his mouth and gave his mightiest squeak. The rock did not move. The rock did not seem impressed. Leo sighed, a little squeaky sigh. That didn't work. His confidence began to wobble just a tiny bit. Next, Leo thought perhaps his throat was too dry. A drink of water, he decided. A very big drink. He padded to the water hole where the water shimmered coolly. He lapped and lapped, glug, glug, glug. He drank until his tummy felt quite full and round. Now, he thought, feeling refreshed and hopeful, he stood tall, took his breath, and peep, a sound so small a butterfly might have made it. The hippos in the waterhole gave him a curious look. Leo felt a blush creep under his fur. This was embarrassing. He saw some brightly coloured parrots chattering in a tree. They were very loud, always squawking and screeching. Perhaps they know the secret to being loud, Leo mused. He went to the parrots and asked in his new quiet voice if they could teach him how to make a big noise. The parrots, always up for some fun, agreed. They shrieked, squawk, caw, screech at the top of their voices. Leo tried to copy them. He flapped his paws like wings. He made strange bird-like noises. Chirp, squeak-awk. He sounded like a very confused, very large, flightless bird. Leo was running out of ideas. This was harder than he thought. He remembered his mother tickling him when he was a cub and how he would laugh and sometimes let out a little roar. He found a long, soft feather dropped by an ostrich. He tried to tickle himself under his chin. He wiggled and giggled. It was quite ticklish indeed. He laughed little squeaky laughs. Squeak! But no matter how much he giggled or how hard he tried, his proper big booming roar did not come back. Leo sat down with a plop, feeling rather deflated. Leo started to feel quite sad, a deep blue sort of sad. His big, proud chest, which once swelled with his roar, now felt hollow and empty, like a drum with no sound. The savannah seemed different. It was too quiet, perhaps. Or maybe it was too loud with other little sounds he had never really paid attention to before. He missed the way the ground would gently rumble under his paws when he let out one of his truly magnificent roars. He even missed seeing the little birds flutter up in surprise. His world felt strangely out of tune without his music. He wandered through the tall golden grasses, his head hanging low. His usually bright, confident eyes were a little bit cloudy. The sun felt warm on his back, but it didn't cheer him up. The colourful butterflies flitted past, but he barely noticed. He was thinking about his lost roar, his wonderful missing roar. It was like a part of him had gone on a long holiday and forgotten to tell him when it was coming back. He felt less like Leo, the king of the savannah, more like Leo, the quiet lion who nobody noticed much. This new feeling was very uncomfortable and unfamiliar. The other animals didn't pay him much attention anymore. When he used to approach, they would look up, alert and respectful. Now they mostly glanced at him and then carried on with their grazing, or their playing, or their chattering. Without his mighty roar to announce his presence, he was just another lion, and a surprisingly quiet one at that. He felt a pang of loneliness, a feeling he wasn't used to. He had always been the center of attention, the loudest voice. Now he was just part of the background noise, or lack of it. It made him feel a bit invisible and rather unimportant. He found a spot beneath a large baobab tree, its branches spread wide. He sat down with a sigh, but even his sigh was squeaky. Oh dear, he thought to himself, his whiskers drooping. What was a lion without his roar? Was he still a proper lion? He just didn't know the answer to that big question. He felt like a baker who had forgotten how to bake bread, or a bird who had forgotten how to sing its morning song. His special thing, the thing that made him, was gone. And Leo, for the first time in his loud life, felt truly lost. A king without his crown, a captain without his ship. One hot afternoon, as Leo sat looking particularly glum, Elara the elephant came ambling by, slow and graceful. Elara was very old and very wise, with kind, gentle eyes. Her long, wrinkly trunk swayed softly as she walked. She'd seen many seasons come and go on the savannah. She knew many secrets of the wind and the rustling grass. She noticed Leo, the usually boisterous lion, looking so down. His golden fur, usually so bright, seemed a shade less sunny. She paused beside him, her large ears fanning her gently. Her presence was calm and comforting, like a shady tree. "Little lion," Elara said, her voice soft and rumbly, like distant thunder, but much, much kinder. "Why do you look so downcast today, my friend? Your bright spirit seems a little dim, if I may say." She looked at him with an expression of gentle concern. Elephants have big hearts, you know, as well as big ears. She sensed that something was troubling the young lion deeply. She waited patiently for him to speak, not rushing him. The air around them was still, save for the buzzing of insects. Leo looked up, surprised that someone had noticed his sadness. Leo opened his mouth and a little squeak came out. He then poured out his sad, squeaky story to Elara. He told her about his magnificent roar, the best in Africa, and how one morning it had simply vanished into thin air. He explained all the funny things he had tried to get it back, the rock, the water, the parrots, even the ticklish feather. He told her how empty and unimportant he felt now, how the other animals didn't seem to notice him anymore, how he missed being the loud, proud Leo he once was. A tear, a tiny lion tear, almost welled in his eye. Elara listened quietly, her big ears twitching now and then. She nodded her great head slowly as Leo spoke his heart. She did not interrupt, not even once. She just listened. When Leo had finished his tale of woe and squeaked a final sigh, Elara was silent for a moment, gazing thoughtfully at the horizon. Then she turned her wise old eyes back to Leo. "Perhaps, dear Leo," she said, her voice full of gentle wisdom, "you have been so very busy roaring all the time that you have quite forgotten how to listen. Try listening to the world around you, just for a while." Leo blinked. Listen, what an odd idea, he thought. He was the one who made the noise, the grandest noise of all. He had always been the roarer, not the listener. But Elara looked so kind, and her words felt important. He respected Elara. Everyone on the savannah did. So he decided he would try her strange suggestion. He sat very still, which was a new thing for him. He closed his eyes just a little and pricked up his ears. He tried to push away all thoughts of his lost roar. He just focused on what Elara had said. Listen. At first, all he heard was the thumping of his own heart. But then, slowly, other sounds began to creep in. He heard the gentle sigh of the wind as it whispered through the leaves of the tall acacia trees nearby. He heard the distant, busy buzzing of the honeybees, flitting from one wildflower to another, collecting nectar. He heard the tiny, almost invisible chirping of crickets, a sound he had never truly noticed in all his roaring days. It was a soft, rhythmic song hidden in the grasses. The savannah was not silent at all, he realized. He heard the soft padding of a little field mouse rustling in the dry leaves not far from his paws. Before, if he had noticed it, he might have let out a playful growl, or even a small roar just to see it scurry away. But now, he just listened to its tiny, busy movements. He found it quite interesting in a quiet sort of way. He heard the far-off call of a fish eagle circling high above, a clear, sharp cry that echoed across the wide plains. He heard water trickling over stones in a hidden stream. All these sounds had always been there, waiting. The savannah, Leo discovered, was full of beautiful sounds. There were tiny sounds and soft sounds and happy sounds. There were mysterious sounds and busy sounds and peaceful sounds. It was like a secret orchestra playing a continuous, lovely tune. And he, Leo, was only just hearing it for the very first time. He had been so focused on his own loud music, his roar, that he had missed all the other wonderful melodies. A little smile touched Leo's lips. It wasn't a roaring feeling, it was a quieter, more gentle kind of happiness. Listening was, surprisingly, quite nice indeed. As Leo sat listening, he started to notice other things too, not just sounds, but sights he might have missed before. He saw a tiny baby bird, a little fluff ball of feathers that had tumbled out of its cozy nest, high in a thorny bush. It was cheeping sadly, its little beak open wide in distress. Its mother was fluttering nearby, chirping anxiously, unable to help. Leo watched them for a moment, his ears still listening. He heard the fear in the mother bird's calls. He felt a little tug, a new feeling, in his big lion heart. It was a feeling of wanting to help, if he could. Before, when he had his mighty roar, Leo might have just walked past. He might have been too busy thinking about his next big roar, or too proud to bother with such a small creature's troubles. But now, something was different inside him. He felt a gentle sort of sympathy for the little bird. Slowly, carefully, so as not to frighten them more, he padded over to the bush. The mother bird froze. Leo lowered his big head very, very gently. He nudged the tiny baby bird with his soft nose, guiding it carefully back towards its worried mother, who then helped it to safety. Another day, as he was walking quietly by a clump of bushes, he saw a family of young antelopes. They were small and spindly. They were stretching their necks, trying very hard to reach the fresh, juicy green leaves on the higher branches. But the leaves were just out of their reach, try as they might. Their little tongues flicked out, but they couldn't quite grasp them. Leo watched them struggle for a moment. He could see their frustration. He thought for a bit. Then he had an idea. He walked over and, using his strong head and shoulders, he carefully bent a leafy branch down low enough for them to nibble. Leo found that he liked helping. It made him feel good inside. He started to do little kind things whenever he saw a need. He cleared a patch of sharp stones from the path so that old Timothy the tortoise could pass more easily. He gave a quiet, low warning rumble, not a roar but a deep hum, to a group of playful warthog piglets when he spotted a slithery snake hiding in the grass nearby, watching them. He didn't need his big, loud roar to do these things. He just needed his eyes, his ears, and his newly found kind heart. And the other animals started to notice his gentle ways. The other animals on the savannah began to see Leo in a new light. He wasn't the loud, proud, sometimes startling lion anymore, the one who only seemed to care about his own magnificent voice. He was becoming Leo, the kind lion, Leo, the helpful lion. They saw him helping the baby bird and the young antelopes. They heard how he had warned the warthog piglets. Whispers went around, not of his lost roar, but of his good deeds. Leo is different now, the zebras would say to each other. He seems much gentler, the giraffes would observe from their height. A change was happening, and it was a good one. The monkeys, who had once giggled at his squeaks, now chattered friendly greetings when he passed by their trees. They would offer him a juicy fruit sometimes as a thank you. The timid gazelles, who used to leap away at his approach, now grazed a little more calmly when he was near. They sensed that this new, quiet Leo was not a threat. The wise old Elara the elephant would often give him a slow, approving nod when she saw him performing one of his quiet acts of kindness. Leo found that he was making new friends, real friends, friends who liked him for who he was, not for how loud he could be. Leo discovered a new kind of happiness, a warm and gentle feeling. It wasn't the big, booming, ground-shaking joy of his roar. That had been exciting, like a firework display. This new feeling was quieter, softer, like warm sunshine spreading through his chest, making him feel light and content. It was the happiness that came from making others happy. It was the joy of connection, of being a helpful part of the savannah. He still missed his roar sometimes, a little bit, but he didn't miss it nearly as much as he thought he would. He had found something else, something perhaps even more wonderful. He learned that true strength wasn't just about being the loudest. It wasn't only about power and making a big noise. There was a different kind of strength, in gentleness. There was power in kindness, in understanding, in helping. He spent his days listening to the world, observing, and when he saw a chance to help, he took it. He didn't need a crown or a booming voice to be important. He was important because he was kind, and the other animals liked him for it. They truly did. Leo, the once proud roarer, was now Leo, the beloved friend. One beautiful evening, the sun was painting the sky with fire. Hues of orange, pink, and deep purple spread across the horizon. Most animals were settling down for the night. Suddenly, a frightened cry pierced the calm twilight air. It was a young gazelle, bleating in panic and pain. Leo's ears perked up. He knew that sound, trouble. He quickly but quietly made his way towards the cry. He found the little gazelle with its slender leg caught fast in a tangle of thick, thorny vines near a rocky outcrop. The more it struggled, the tighter the vines seemed to grip. Leo's heart went out to the terrified little creature. He could see the fear in its wide, dark eyes. He knew he had to do something, and quickly. He wanted to comfort the gazelle, to let it know help was there. He also wanted to scare away any hidden dangers, like hyenas that might be drawn by the sounds of distress. He took a deep breath, thinking to make a soothing, rumbly sound. He opened his mouth, focusing all his good intentions. He thought of courage and help and reassurance, and then something amazing happened. Out of Leo's mouth came not a squeak, not a peep, not a hum, but a roar. A magnificent, glorious, ground-shaking roar. It was back, his roar, as loud and as powerful as ever. The sound rolled across the savannah, echoing from the hills. The ground trembled just a little as it used to. The thorny vines seemed to shake with the vibration. The little gazelle was so startled by the sudden mighty sound, it gave one last desperate leap of surprise, and with that leap its leg pulled free from the thorns. It stumbled for a moment, then stood, wobbly but safe. Leo himself was astonished. His roar had returned. He could feel the familiar tingle in his chest, the power. He could roar again. He could be the loudest in Africa once more. But as he looked at the little gazelle, now safe and sound, and as he saw the other animals nearby looking at him not with fear, but with admiration and gratitude in their eyes, Leo understood something very important. His roar was a wonderful thing, a powerful gift. But the kindness he had learned, the friendships he had made, those were even more precious, even more special. He could be loud, yes, but he chose first and foremost to be kind. And that, Leo knew, was the best and truest sound of all.